Someone always learns from someone. It could be something good, it could be something bad, it could be something treacherous. But if you look back at your personal life, you'll see whatever field you're in, you'll see that you learned something from someone. I'll be back. I've said it in a few other videos. I think I did a couple of videos about Diddy. But I said, and I'm going to continue to say, that Diddy is not the only one. And everyone needs to be accountable. It's like all our attention is focused primarily on Diddy. In all fairness, you have to ask, where did he get this from? Where did he get this unseen license to run havoc throughout this industry without any accountability? He got it from someone. Someone gave him, or multiple people gave him, the ability to do the things he's done for over 30 years. Now, someone who's done the things that Diddy has done since he began his career to this point, he had to have been given the okay by someone, spoken or unspoken. Because you don't just go into a field and run amok without being accountable. And if they were requiring him to be accountable, it wouldn't have gotten this far. It wouldn't have gotten this bad. So everyone needs to hold everyone accountable. And that's why it's imperative that we continue to do these videos pinpointing not only Diddy, but the ones who were behind him, the ones who trained him, the ones who showed him the ropes, and the ones who gave him the leeway to do the things he's done. Now let's get on to this content. If you're wondering where Puff Diddy, aka Diddy Daddy, Glits, and Flam Sean Combs got his jaw-dropping character, sit back and let me draw this picture out for you. One taught Sean Combs, aka Diddy, longevity. And in my opinion, he gifted Diddy his spirit of corruption. Clive Davis has been in the game since white artists were used to cover black artists' songs and getting paid far more than black artists, which I know they're still being paid more today. Clive J. Davis was born April the 4th, 1932. He is an American record producer, A&R executive, record executive, and lawyer. See, he knows, the loopholes. From 1967 to 1973, Davis was the president of Columbia Records. He was the founder and president of Arista Records from 1974 through 2000 until finding J Records from 2002 until April 2008. He was chair and CEO of the RCA Music Group, which included RCA Records, J Records, and Arista Records. Chair and CEO of J Records, and chair and CEO of BMG North America. He has signed many artists who achieved significant success, including Sly and the Family Stone, Janis Joplin, and a list of others. A July 1973 article said Clive Davis was ousted and accused of a payola cover-up. Davis was charged and fired by CBS amid allegations of misuse of funds and providing drugs to artists and disc jockeys. Does that sound familiar? And this was in 1973. Davis had a long-term agreement with CBS, incorporated a 5-year contract stretching to April 14, 1975. At age 40, he was the commander-in-chief of the largest record company in the world For his efforts, which kept him at his office on weekends and holidays, he earned $135,000 a year. His contract also provided incentive bonuses adding up to $250,000 over 3 years, and last, there was additional compensation of $74,000 for a total of $359,000. Not bad for a man from Bronx whose first favorite music came from make-believe ballroom on his radio, whose primary goal in life once was to be a good lawyer. Clive Davis was proud of himself. Again, this article was written in 1973. Davis is in seclusion, accepting meetings with a criminal lawyer. He has been asked to face a grand jury probe into interstate heroin trafficking and possible connections between payola buy drugs and Columbia Records. Clive Davis has been fired by his company and sued for alleged personal use of company funds. His contract is null and void. He has been depicted by a CBS officer as a culprit found involved in hanky-panky. He has been fingered by a once loyal executive assistant as the man responsible for authorizing the practice of payola at Columbia Records. The first rumors had begun to fly during A Week to Remember. A Week to Remember was a concert series organized by Columbia Records and music executive Clive Davis. Other acclaimed artists who performed at the events include Bruce Springsteen, the Staple Singers, Miles Davis, and Earth, Wind & Fire. A Week Remembered occurred in 1973. Let's continue. David Winshaw, 52, vice president of artist relations at Columbia, had been busted. He'd been locked out of his 12th floor office a couple of weeks ago, and there was talk about prostitution and drugs. The rumors said the FBI invaded CBS Black Skyscraper and seized files from Winshaw's office, and CBS had cordoned off the room and fired the 11-year veteran. Winshaw, it was said, was close to Clive Davis and was variously known around the company and in the business as Davis' Royal Procurer or Clive's Pimp or the all-around Dr. Feelgood. He had been moved over to special projects and took care of conventions, providing any necessary entertainment for Columbia executives and favorite guests. He worked with hotels and travel agents, sometimes handling conventions of 1,000 people. In that capacity, it was said he and probably others at Columbia was involved in some computer scheme. All billings, one source said, come out of a computer. When needs exceeded what was budgeted for his department, you couldn't key punch drugs and broads. He programmed it for reimbursement, and a computer would program an okay. The excesses, the source says, were rumored to have reached $500,000, and the operator, it was said, had to have either received authorization from higher up or been guilty of outright embezzlement. 10 years ago, said one male superstar, the disc jockeys were into chicks and free vacations. Now it's grass, hash, and coke. Payola takes other forms as well, according to Newsweek sources. Lavish press parties, hookers, and booze are still a part of it. So are kickbacks from travel agencies and hotels where record industry conventions are held. Thousands of free record albums may go to some disc jockeys who own record shops on the side, a practice particularly prevalent at black rhythm and blues stations where salaries are low. These DJs in turn plug the albums on the air. In San Francisco, there is a reputed shoot shop where disc jockeys order as many as 5 suits at a time, and record companies will pick up the tab. In more subtle forms of payola, says Newsweek sources, some record companies are now even buying airtime at big record stores, paying to have their albums played while customers browse through the racks. When rumors arose last year, this was again in 1973, around 1973, I believe, 1974, that drugs were being used as payola, Stanley Gortikov, president of the Recording Industry Association of America, issued a stern warning. These reports, if true, he said, mirror a reprehensible condition for all of us, both commercially and morally. Some record executives think the business is due for a house cleaning. I think it's time it happened, says an executive at A&M Records. The record industry is in the process of becoming as excessive and fat as the picture business was in the 1950s. If this thing shakes up the industry and changes it for the better, that's terrific. A San Francisco music business attorney summed it up another way. I think you're going to see an awful lot of record promotion guys walking around with coats, ties, and briefcases from now on. Again, this was taking place in 1973. It would be nice if these people were sincere and actually cleaned up the music industry. Then we wouldn't have the likes of Diddy and everybody else who trained him or conditioned him or he just gleaned from. He saw somebody doing this. Let's continue. 2. Diddy gleaned his Mr. Wonderful life is just a big party image from Andre Harrell. It said that he threw the best parties on the East Coast. And what is Puffy known for? It said that Puffy was known for his party promotions. Told you he learned it from somebody. Did you know that Harrell was actually an MC before he became the highly influential record company owner of Uptown Records? And who do we know did the same? Diddy. He was a rapper before he was rapping. No, he was dancing before he became a record label owner. And then he, began rapping. Let's continue. He and his childhood friend Alonzo Brown made up the rap duo Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Andre was Dr. Jekyll and Brown was Mr. Hyde. Producer and record executive Andre Harrell was born September 26, 1960 in Bronx, New York. Harrell attended Eastern Academy and Junior High School 123. After graduating from Charles Evans Hughes High School in 1978, Harrell attended Baruch College. He later transferred to Lehman College, where he majored in communications and business management. Young Andre was 1/3 of the Harlem World crew, along with Alonzo Brown and the late DJ Ronnie Green, who also recorded under the name Captain Rock. Alonzo told the foundation that he met Andre when they were students at Charles Evans Hughes High School in Manhattan. Their mutual love of music, rap music specifically, strengthened their friendship and led to them forming a group and performing at various community centers in Harlem's Clinton projects after rhyming in the staircases at school. Although Harrell had connections in the Bronx, he hung out more in Harlem after meeting Alonzo. Jekyll and Hyde, Andre's and Alonzo's rap names, made recordings that were financed by Harlem World's Fat Jack on Taster and Rojak Records. Their first record was Rappers Convention, released under the name Harlem World Crew. It was an up-tempo song based musically on Hooked on Your Love by Fantastic Aleems of NIA Records fame. The image of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde possibly held them back with the more hardcore elements of the rap audience, but if dressing for the job that you want, not the one that you have, had spokespersons, then Alonzo and Andre would have had the gig. Where their contemporaries wore tracksuits, sneakers, and rope chains, Jekyll and Hyde wore dress suits and hard-bottom dress shoes. On their full-length album, The Champagne of Rap, not only are they dressed in suits, they are holding copies of the Wall Street Journal and business magazines along with their DJ scratch on Galaxy. Even the title of the album implies that they are more refined than other MCs. On Cold Chillin' in the Spot, which is the B-side of the Def Jam by DJ Jazzy J, and an animated Russell Simmons says to Andre, who was present in the studio, "The doctor, Dr. Jekyll, niggers, what is wrong with you? In a three-piece suit and bottom-button shirt?" In 1984, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde released Champagne of Rap. "I was working with LL Cool J," Harrell recalls. "I was talking to him, getting his head together. I told him how dope my record was and how whack his was. LL sold 700,000, mine sold 7,000. I said, it's time for me to switch my game up. Time for me to shine behind the scenes." Maybe they should have changed their rap names for real. But in the 80s, anybody who grew up in the 80s, it was a lot of rap groups that had names that, to me, they were a little corny. But I guess they was popping at the time because we liked the rap. I don't know about the name, but then we didn't have too much to judge it from. UTFO and all other rap names. You think about it now, it's like wow. Okay, let's continue. But before starting his own label, Harrell, around 1983, started hanging out with Simmons, who was producing rap shows. Simmons kept trying to persuade Harrell to leave Wins and come work with him at his company, Rush Management. "We got snowed in visiting two girls in Stony Brook, Long Island," recalls Harrell. "We went out on Saturday and on Monday it was still bad snow. I could have drove in, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to work there anymore, so I started working for Russell for $200 a week." Harrell worked for the company's marquee acts, including Run DMC and LL Cool J, among others. Simmons, himself a legendary record executive, was also co-founder of the iconic rap label Def Jam Recordings. Harrell quickly rose to become Def Jam's vice president and GM. By 1986, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was done recording for Profile as a group, and Dr. Jekyll was releasing Uptown's Kickin' It, the compilation album that served as an introduction to his new label, Uptown Records. Like his mentors Simmons and Def Jam, Harrell's imprint saw the potential of hip-hop's growing fan base, particularly black audiences, and cultural reach before others could even understand the music itself. Uptown was a huge success. In 1988, Guy sold 1.6 million. Harrell recalls I'll Be Sure sold 1.8 million. Heavy D sold 1.4 million. I was rolling. I was in the game. I was coming into spots and it was going on. I was all over the country, all over the world. I was 28 years old. The dough was flowing. In 1989, Harrell recalls Al Teller wrote me my first real fat check. He took me to millionaire status in one quick swoop. Bam! I like my man. I said, that's cool. Part of Harrell's appeal to MCA was his attitude. He always behaved and thought big. He's a snowman in the grand sense of the word, and success only enhanced those tendencies. When he earned his first real money, Harrell bought a huge home in New Jersey, which he dubbed Mohawk Stadium, and started throwing parties, lots and lots and lots of parties. Harrell not only discussed business like the founding fathers of Hollywood, but also loved the lavish life, living large, which means driving the right car, wearing the right suit, dating the right girl, and throwing the biggest parties is all part of the profile. Understatement is not a virtue. The bigger the better rules the day. Harrell, who is known as the premier party giver on the East Coast, they don't know how to throw a party out here. It was an ongoing scene with a certain attitude. This generation was not going to be encumbered by limitations that have hampered blacks in the past. Harrell and his cronies, like the Jews that created Hollywood, had an innate sense of destiny of what they could accomplish. In 1982, Harrell secured a multi-million-dollar multimedia deal with MCA. The contract helped the executive span into film and TV. He executive produced the hit Fox TV show New York Undercover and produced the 1991 comedy Strictly Business, with Harrell subsequently rebranding the company as Uptown Enterprises. And in 1995, he became the CEO of Motown Records, where he worked for 2 years. In 2002, he discovered and mentored Robin Thicke, who would later become a powerful force in R&B. He would later work with Puffy as Bad Boy Records, president and vice chairman of Revolt TV. Rumors have persisted for years that there was another side of Harrell with regard to him having an alternative lifestyle. Nothing is more far-fetched or impossible to believe, considering that he had been embedded within an industry that is contingent on keeping your secrets deeply hidden in order to maintain a stellar image. Image equals money. Money equals more money. But here is an excerpt from a book, Mongol, written a few years ago. A character by the name of Pop is a producer who is rumored and or alleged to be Harrell. And the character Big A.T. is rumored or and alleged to be Diddy. Here's an excerpt. I'm going to censor the more adult words. I ain't saying all of them effed or sucked some penises to get to the top, but a lot of them have and continue to do so. Trust me, there's always some new, young, fresh, wide open, roughneck thug who is willing to do whatever it takes to get a record deal, a movie role, or some press. Some even think they are smarter than the next and they will get by without having to deal with a gay brother. Like I said, we are everywhere and in all aspects of this industry. 9 times out of 10, we know each other. It only takes a phone call and we can bring you down or help keep you where you are. Pop mogul. Let me get a taste. Pop tugged at my zipper. He unbuckled my pants and they dropped to my ankles. His member was excited. It was fighting against the material of my boxers. This was it. I was being made an offer to end all my years of struggling and trying to make it in this business. An opportunity for my big break. It was time for me to eat and eat big. I wanted to hear my music on the radio, and the man sitting with his face sniffing at my crotch is willing to make it happen. For the first time, I heard my own voice. The words found their way out of my belly, into my throat, and out of my lips. I don't know. I relax. Pop stroked his member. We will work everything out. This is between you and me. This is our world, baby. Pop smiled. He licked his lips and then spoke to his member. What happens here stays here. I couldn't believe my ears. This top entertainment mogul was actually letting me in on the secret. He was a gay man and the industry is full of them. Let me tell you something. We are all up in this business. Ish. Without us, half these ignorant celebrity mofos wouldn't be who they are today. How do you think most of them get where they are? I hope you don't think that it is really all about talent. Yeah, talent. Hollywood is nothing but a big old production on turning the world out. You know, I found out in the 90s that it's not even about entertainment. They're not trying to entertain you. They're not trying to give you, you know, when you sitting back chilling off work and just want to put your feet up, you watch a good movie and chill. It ain't about entertaining you while you resting. It's about using people, the people who are most willing to turn people out. That's all Hollywood is about. Now let's go on to 3. You could correctly assume by connecting the dots that Diddy gleaned his shameless, reckless abandonment persona from a lot of industry cats, but no one stands out as much as Simmons, Russell Simmons that is. Anyone who has paid attention to the past news about this guy know exactly what I'm talking about. I'll give the briefest background on Simmons as possible. Russell Simmons' career has taken him from the streets of Queens to the heights of the music business and beyond. Starting out as a struggling hip-hop producer, Simmons has gone on to build an empire that includes music recording and publishing, clothing music, as well as Broadway. Simmons' name is synonymous with success, and he shows no signs of stopping. Born in Jamaica, Queens, New York in 1957, Queen's parents were active in the arts and in the civil rights movement. His father, a school teacher, frequently wrote poetry, and his mother was a recreation director for the New York City Department of Parks and was a painter. At the age of 8, Simmons' family moved to the Hollis neighborhood in Queens, where the adolescent Simmons became involved with drugs and joined a street gang called the Seven Immortals. His time as a gang member ended a few years later following the murder of one of his fellow gang members by a rival gang. In 1975, after graduating from high school, Simmons went on to attend the City College of New York in Harlem. While there, he met Rudy Toppin, who gave Simmons the nickname Rush and brought him into the world of music promotion and hip-hop, introducing him to the sounds of Eddie Chiba. Simmons left college during his senior year to become a full-time promoter, but no one attended his first show and he found himself broke. His father, quite angry with him, urged him to return to school, but his mother quietly gave him $2,000. This loan held his production company, Rush Productions, afloat until Curtis Blow, Simmons' first act, made it big, first doing shows with hip-hop pioneer Grandmaster Flash, and later becoming the first rap artist to get signed to a record label. In 1983, after establishing Curtis Blow and riding the crest of the hip-hop revolution, Simmons, his younger brother Joey, and 2 friends, Daryl McDaniel and Jason Mizell, formed what would become one of the most influential groups in rap history, Run DMC. Unlike many other groups at the time, Run DMC maintained an urban look and sound rather than trying to mold themselves to the image of rock and R&B stars. CBS agreed to distribute albums produced by Def Jam in early 1985, and the next 4 years saw the meteoric rise of Simmons and the acts that he produced, including the Beastie Boys, LL Cool J, Public Enemy, and Slick Rick. He produced hit after hit, including You Gotta Fight for Your Right to Party, I Need a Beat, and Children's Story. With the albums getting constant radio play and Def Jam's break into predominantly rock and roll MTV, Simmons organized a series of festival tours of hip-hop acts, bringing their sounds to new audiences across the country. Having already been labeled by the Wall Street Journal as the mogul of rap, in 1985, Simmons decided to move into Hollywood. A semi-fictional film of his life had been featured in the film Crush Groove, and so Simmons, along with partner Rubin, decided to give filmmaking a chance. And in 1988, they released Tougher Than Leather, a film starring Run DMC, which received limited release in New York City but garnered widespread attention around the country. The early 90s saw Simmons partner with Stan Lathan, and from his collaboration came Def Comedy Jam. Simmons brought in largely unknown comics from around the country and used the show as a vehicle to help launch careers, while at the same time expanding his own empire into television. Many of those early comedians are stars today, including Martin Lawrence, Cedric the Entertainer, and Chris Tucker. Simmons also returned to filmmaking, acting as producer for Eddie Murphy's hit The Nutty Professor. Simmons' sexual assault accusers reveal how life has changed since speaking out. A new HBO Max documentary titled On the Record premieres May 27, 2020, and tells the stories of multiple women who allege that Simmons preyed on them during his reign overseeing Def Jam recordings. 3 women who say Russell Simmons sexually assaulted them are speaking out against the record executive. A new HBO Max documentary titled On the Record premieres May 27th and tells the stories of multiple women who allege that Simmons, 62, preyed on them during his reign overseeing Def Jam recordings, his former music label. The 3 accusers are Drew Dixon, a female employee who worked as the director of A&R at Def Jam alongside Simmons from 1994 to 95. The second accuser is former Def Jam executive assistant Celia Abrams. And the third accuser is early hip-hop artist Sherry Cher. And at least 18 other women have accused Simmons, who has denied the allegations of assault and harassment. Simmons stepped down from Def Jam and his other companies in November 2017. My conclusion is Diddy appears to be very good at imitating with perfection the lives and actions of those he apparently looks up to, covers, and possibly envies. All these 3 individuals I spoke of, Davis, Harrell, and Simmons, if you notice, all 3 mentors were attributed to being the best or pioneers in their fields. Well, Davis was the best in his field, apparently. Look how long he's been there. I don't know if it has anything to do with his skills, gifts, or his willingness to be deviant, depraved. Harrell was the first to combine the sultry sounds of R&B with the up-tempo, gritty beat and sound of rap, letting us see that the unlikely combination could really work. And it did very well, might I add. Simmons' artist Curtis Blow was the first to be signed to a record label, and his artists were the first to gain the attention of MTV race itself. They had so much attention and fame that MTV added them to their lineup, which was predominantly white and rock and roll. It's safe to say that Diddy not only learned and imitated their business styles that made them successful, he most likely learned and imitated their despicable ways and taking what they wanted from whomever they wanted, not caring if or when their dark deeds would come out. So Diddy was like, well, how old was he? 19 when he got into this industry. And he was mentored by Harrell. And Harrell was mentored by his buddy, Russell Simmons. And Russell Simmons got into the industry at a time where, it was like a sea of vanilla and a tiny speck of chocolate. So you already know who mentored him. Davis came in, did his thing back in the 50s. You already know who put him on. And at that time, going into the industry, especially in the executive area, the only black folks you probably saw was the ones in maintenance, if that at all. So, as I said, these people that came in after the fact, the people that came in after Davis, the people that came in after Harrell, the people that came in after Simmons, they learned from them. Everyone needs to be accountable. And those 3, Davis, Simmons, and Harrell, learned from others. Hollywood is a bed of iniquities. And it's time that Hollywood as a whole needs to be accountable on so many levels. And it's not only hip hop. It's everywhere. It's pop. It's rock. Don't get me started on heavy metal. And you have departments for every genre. Everybody needs to be accountable. Then we could move on to the movie side of Hollywood, the TV side of Hollywood, the back end side of Hollywood. Everybody's complicit. I'm about to wrap this up. Thank you for your time and attention and support. We really appreciate it. Take care, be safe, and we will see you in the next video.